road cyclist, and I took on my first bikepacking project for training during the pandemic. I had never camped before, never slept in a tent, let alone in a remote location or in cold weather. I had no idea what I was about to put myself into. I was pretty scared, but the desire to do it and to overcome my fear, it gave me goosebumps. I had to do it. So this is my story. Day one, I was like on a small road. Everything was fine, and then my GPS says, turn right here. I was like, are you kidding me? It was like this massive, endless desert. I didn't know what remote meant until I saw this. The first few kilometers in the desert, I was pretty nervous. I mean, being alone here, it's not the safest decision I've ever made in my life. 3 hours later, I felt like a slight fall. That was the only fall of the whole trip. Like I bruised my knee and I was like, okay, this little fall was here to remind you to be careful, and you should walk your bike when you're not sure. Sunset was coming very soon, and I knew there was going to be water at the campground, but I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. So then, just an hour and a half later, I made it to the campground, and it was pitch black. So I set up my tent, but then, so once everything was set, the rain started. So I was actually lucky, and I woke up in this amazing views. And then once everything was pretty much packed, the rain started again, and then it started pouring. The RV next door was like, come on in, like, can't leave like this. So I jumped in the RV and we made like the best soup ever. Valley of Fire State Park was so worth it.
It feels like we're fighting for nothing, so we keep on running, oh, always hunting something, oh. You take all the highs and leave all the roads behind. Keep on running, oh.
Hello, day 3 already. It's pretty white around my head because that's the sky. The sky is not blue today. It's pretty gray actually. And pretty dark over there.
Donde quiera que voy, nos movemos en caravana como los convoys. Vamos en la nave y las dejamos en el ballet. Los bates se quemaron de una cuando llegué. Tú las dejaste sola y con ella yo me quedé. No quiero coro con nadie. y el VIP lo separé.
Okay, this is nuts again. I'm in the middle of nowhere. At least we have a blue sky now.
Ando por boy, te pillo en la esquina y no te voy a dar choice. Si se mojan cuando ven que llegamos en los vehículos.
There's a massive crack right there. I kind of want to see. Oh gosh, I don't want to go closer. Look at this. Shit, man. Shit,
I just rolled the dice, chingándome con las cadenas de Christopher Tights. Traje la black card, so tú pides que no importa el crisis.
I'm getting a little worried that this guy is gonna fall on my head. And I'm still pretty far out. But it looks nice over there. And then the air cooled down suddenly. I unclipped, grabbed my jacket, grabbed my tent cover, and I got on the ground with my tent cover over me, and it started hailing. So I'm pretty scared right now. Put my tent over like my bike. I'm sitting on the ground in the middle of the desert. Waiting for the storm to pass. Jesus Christ. And then there was like loud thunder and lightning, and like, so I was like under my tent cover and I could just see the light in the sky. And I remember my first thought was like, you know, when they say you have more chances to be hit by lightning than to win the lottery? I was like, well, some people do win the lottery. But you know, after the storm passed, there's kind of a shift that happened. Like, I just been through a storm and it was fine. I didn't have to fear storms anymore. But then I was like, okay, sunset is coming now. And I still had 20 miles to go on my route, but this was never gonna happen. So just like a mile later, I see this guy, he was packing his camping. So he gave me like 2 gallons. I was like, awesome. So I could camp right there just before it gets really dark. It was actually really cool how it unfolded. Day number 5. Today is a little climb. So I should be climbing to 4,500 feet today, and this should get me to St. George, finally. I took the road today because I need to get there. I arrived in St. George on the 5th day. That was 2 days later than I expected. That was the end of the first segment. I didn't have much planned further than that because, well, first of all, I didn't have enough time to plan everything, and mostly I didn't know how it would go. So from there, I planned segment by segment. Next, I was hitting the Zion National Park, and finger crossed that the weather would be good enough to go see Bryce Canyon after that. My bike weighed about 50 kilo. I was carrying my laptop because I needed to work from distance. I also needed winter gear, which is heavier. And because I was riding in the desert, I had to carry more water, so I had a capacity of carrying 8 liters of water. And I would always carry about a day worth of food. 11. It's a beautiful day. I stayed over at Robin and Tracy, my host from the Warm Shower website. They've been so generous, so helpful. The next door neighbor, like right next door, they are backpacker guide. So they knew all about, camping and food and tips, all the stuff that I didn't know very much. And also, there's a couple that has been staying with them for the last year, the last 6 months, basically because of COVID. And they have been traveling by bike for 6 years. So it was really cool. The last 2 days, I learned so much from all these people. It's like another world. I wanted to tell you a little bit more about this trip and why I'm doing this thing. And with the pandemic, it looked like most of the races would be postponed to later in the season, like July, August, September. So we still had a lot of time. I had a conversation with my coach about mid-February, I think. I really want to thank my coach, Dan. I don't know if he's watching all of my videos. He's been so helpful at helping me figure out what I want out of cycling. Like, it's been more about finding the joy of cycling and the joy in the process of training more than the actual intervals and all that stuff. So he allowed me to choose myself, to choose what I want to do, to choose what would make me happy, rather than what cyclists would normally do. And it's after our call that I thought, I love riding this mountain bike so much. The mountain bike that I just got this past winter because I wanted a bike to ride in the snow. I wasn't planning on doing this at all when I bought this bike. And so I thought, I would like to do a training block on the mountain bike and go somewhere I've never seen. And it's funny because my first childhood dream was to ride across America by bike. So it's not out of nowhere. And I got so excited and almost scared. I realized it makes so much sense. This is what I want out of cycling. I want to push myself. I want to ride my bike. I want to see places. From all the things I could have done, that was the only thing I was gonna do. I was so decided. So won't you come and save me? Save me. I'm heading to Bryce Canyon right now. I think it will be most north part of my trip. That's gonna be, I think, 9,000 feet. So that's higher than Mount Lemmon. Mount Lemmon is 8,000. So there will be snow. I think this morning when I looked at the weather over there, it was -10. So good morning. I just made warm coffee because it snowed last night. It's snow all over my bike and everywhere. I was maybe 12 miles from Bryce Canyon, but it's still there was still another hill to do, so that was gonna be an hour or two, and it started getting cold at 4:30 p.m. And I couldn't find a good place to stay in Bryce Canyon anyway, so I was
like all campgrounds everywhere I called, it was closed. So I was like, I might as well set up camp now. And yeah, I'm glad I did because it started snowing, and yeah, so I stayed warm. So far so good. I think I'll try to get a hike in, so that's something I really wanted to do, to hike in the Bryce Canyon Park, National Park, and get out of here because yeah, it's cold. Now I see why people were like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
So after Bryce Canyon, I headed toward the Grand Canyon using a route called the Grand Staircase Loop. That route was voted the #1 bikepacking route in North America just a few years ago, so I was pretty excited to check it out. It's called the Grand Staircase because it's the biggest sequence of rock layers forming like a series of plateaux. So between Bryce Canyon and Grand Canyon is the biggest sequence of different types of rocks. So it was basically a downhill ride for 2 days.
Oh, that's just how it goes. Rising up, right until we fall. Oh, reaching in the dark, nothing's there to touch. I wish I could love. Oh, that's just how it goes. Rising up, right until we fall. Oh, reaching in the dark, nothing's there to touch. I wish I could love. But I'm still not. But I'm still not. But I'm still not. And the feeling's gone. But I'm still not. I can't be the only one.
right until we fall.
This segment was amazing. I think I had my best time on the bike of the whole trip.
Had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business.
So going to the Grand Canyon was a bit of a puzzle because the north entrance was closed because of the winter, the east entrance was closed because of COVID, but there was a chance they let me go by bike. But it wasn't clear where I was allowed to go and where I was not. I'm going to go to the Grand Canyon. Super excited, but there's quite a few obstacles, like route-wise. I have like plan A, plan B, plan C. I think it's gonna take me 4 days. The weather looks really good for this week. So, and I know where to get water. I'm ready for this. Ah! There was a sign saying no trespassing, no camping, no hiking. But look at this. So, plan A didn't work out already. about an hour into the park, somebody, like I was completely alone, super nice dirt road, and this dude drove up to me in this big pickup truck and told me he works for the ranger and to get out of here. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see the sign. Plan B was to go to Tuba City. There was supposed to be somebody there that I could text, but there's like no service, and there was like a hill. So basically I just did day 1 and day 2. So I was like, I still have about 2 hours of daylight, so I'm just gonna go with my legs. Yeah! It's a little bit rocky. This morning, I'm a little tired. I'm almost in Cameron, and I still have maybe an hour of daylight. Look at this super nice road. I finally made it in 2 days. I just had a little emotional moment. And I think I'm at pretty high altitude, so I think I'm a little tired. Like, I just left this point of view, like the desert tower, and so it was full of tourists, and I come here with my bike. And I tell people that I rode from Las Vegas, they're like, people are so inspired. Like, I didn't realize the impact it would have. Like, there was this kid, like, shook his head, like, what? It was like his mind was blown. It's just so cool. I'm actually proud of myself too, because I had never done did something like this. Like, I was scared. I can't believe I'm here. So I'm just riding along this road that's gonna take me to the Grand Canyon. I should be there in maybe 2 hours. And then like here and there there's like spot where you can see it's like massive. It's the Grand Canyon. I'm running into some traffic here. So we'll slow down and appreciate the view. Look at this. From the Grand Canyon, I headed toward Flagstaff on the Western Wildland route. That's a route that goes from the border of Canada all the way down to the southern border of Arizona, all on dirt roads.
Lost in this late night, but a long, long way to go. I'm getting caught up, caught in the afterglow. I keep on saying, I'm saying to myself, don't you mess it up, whoa, don't you mess it up again. Don't you mess it up again. All my friends keep asking about you. All your friends who don't take me back to when we're sober, when we're over tonight. Will you need me in the cold light? Will you need me in the cold light? Still on my mind. I'm saying to myself, don't you mess it up, oh, don't you mess it up again, don't you mess it up again. All my friends keep asking about you, all your friends who don't Take me back to when we're sober, when we're over tonight. Will you need me in the cold light? All my friends keep asking about you. All your friends who don't take me back to when we're sober, when we're over tonight. Will you need me in the cold light? Will you need me in the cold light?
I'm now on my way to Flagstaff. So like yesterday, I woke up just outside of the Grand Canyon village. It was like frigid cold, super windy. And then I just needed to double check on my route because there's a mountain that if I was gonna take like this super popular trail, well, there's people skiing on this right now. Like you can see, there's definitely a lot of snow. So I went back to the McDonald's and like it was so cold. My laptop just like freeze and my phone was so slow. I was like, okay, this is not working. Maybe some people are wondering why in Arizona it's so cold. It's because it doesn't really have to do with north or south. It has to do with altitude. The higher you are, the colder it gets. And then, so I think Flagstaff, the peak goes to 10,000 feet. I'm maybe at 6,000 or 7,000 feet right now. So it's like kind of the limit. Like Grand Canyon was 8,000. And then after that, like you get snow.
Come inside.
Just like at home, you know. Oh, there's more. Oh shit. Oh shit. Once in Flagstaff, I stayed with Theo. He's a super cycling fan, knows everything, so I shared a bit of my story with him. His best riding buddy passed away a year prior. They would ride to the overlook by Sedona and have lunch there. He told me he never ridden there by himself since then. And that's where I was heading the next day. So I was like, why don't you come with me tomorrow? We'll have coffee in town and we'll ride to the overlook together and we can have lunch there. Afterward, we said goodbye and I hit the descent into Sedona. In Sedona, I met two hikers, and one of them was a local, and he was like, "Do you want to see something cool?" Oh man, these cactus! Look at that! Hello. Whoa! Oh my god! Wow!
You'll probably be down this way too.
Woo. There was this small passage where we had to kind of slide on a rock, but like without falling on either side. Man, I am a bit scared. Oh, Mom, what am I doing?
You are perfect.
Do you think? Whoa! My God! Oh gosh!
Be careful there, yeah, it's a little... There you go. Très bien.
I am in this little spot that I found on the side of the road. So the road is like, I don't know if you can see it, like I was riding there yesterday. And so now I'm heading toward that mountain over there. And so that's gonna be my climb for today. And so I was looking at all the options. It makes more sense to go around Phoenix, and then I might as well just continue to Tucson. So I might try to make it all the way, but it's maybe like a 500 kilometer segment. I think this is going to be the hardest segment. I sent the route to a few people just to make sure, is that feasible? And somebody said, "Whoa, that's a baller ride." I was like, "Oh wait, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, this is going to be a lot of dirt, a lot of climbing, a lot of elevation." So I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's kind of why I picked this route." And it's funny. It made me realize I always pick the hardest route. That's just in me. That's just what I do. If I reflect on cycling, like sometimes I blame cycling for being so hard. Like, why is, like, this is too hard? But it's not cycling, it's me. I always do it the hardest way. I'm just attracted to the challenge, to pushing myself, to just push the limit. That's just what I do. So, like, I'm just realizing and just learning this about myself, that it's not cycling, it's me. And so I'm pretty excited. Like, every time that like I reach a new destination, and then it's like, okay, I have to plan the next segment. It's like a big puzzle, and then once I have it all mapped out, I'm super excited to go and ride it. Proud of myself today because it was a huge day on the bike. I thought I would never get to Payson. I want to be out of here very soon. So far, my fastest time has been like 2 hours and 20 minutes from wake up time to getting on the bike.
You know, you've reached a pretty good altitude when you see this. The first mountain pass of this stretch. Woo!
I just finished this massive climb, 7,000 feet of altitude, so I'm just gonna have lunch
right here on the edge. Wow! Look at this.
Like 36 Celsius, like 90, I don't know. I rode in heat before, but it was just like a big change from like the cold. Like every time I have a bit too much water, and so I was like just trying to be more efficient. So 2 people gave me water today. So I went through the Tonto National Forest. I don't know why I didn't know about this area. This road was probably the most beautiful road ever. I think I've said that before, but it was really amazing. it was like canyons and cactus and a lake. I was like, there's a lake and canyon and cactus all in the same picture. Wow. So I think I want to finish this trip by climbing Mount Lemmon. I don't know. I might change my mind. I need to analyze the route a little bit more, because the backside, well, it's dirt, but I think it's steeper, so I have to make sure that I'm actually able. I think it's gonna be really cool to finish with Mount Lemmon, because I feel like my first time on Mount Lemmon was 2017, and I was just starting on the road, even though I had been racing since 2013. Like, I didn't even know what altitude was at the time. I remember it was like 16 degrees Celsius, 60 maybe, in Tucson. And so I just rode like a short sleeve jersey, no gloves. I thought I was just gonna go climb Mount Lemmon, and then there was like a snowstorm at the top, and in my head I thought it was 60 degrees, so I should be fine. But I was like shivering, and like I never turned around, because I never turned around. You know, at the top it starts to like descend, and so you're like, it's just the top, and then it climbs again. So like there were some people in the parking, and I stopped, and like I was like shaking. And I remember they gave me like hot pad, and I put them in my helmet. I was holding them in my bare hand so that I could finish climbing Mount Lemmon and then get warm coffee at the top. But anyway, so like that was my first time on Mount Lemmon, and then how many times I trained on this mountain. It's like there's just so many memories on that mountain. But this time doing it, like climbing it from the backside, and then having my last camp night on the top of Mount Lemmon, that sounds like really cool. The last 4 days has been really big, and so it would be 2 more big days to get to Mount Lemmon, and then it's gonna be like the biggest week ever. It's funny, it feels like a stage race, and I think it's my favorite week, because like the focus it takes to being efficient with everything. I'm a racer. So I'm really enjoying this week. It's just so obvious now that I'm a racer. I love to do that stuff, and so there's no way I should stop. I'm just gonna keep going. What a wonderful place. I'm just 2 miles until I'm back on the road, so I'm just exiting. I thought I would never get out. It's like 4:30 p.m. I was like, okay, you need to press the gas. And I still have 25k to go until the next town where I can find
water, which I need. Mount Lemmon, backside. Here we go. Day 31. It's April 11. It's been exactly 1 month. I was wondering, would I be like tired of this, happy to go back to normal life, or if I would want to keep going. And I'm a little surprised that I could do this for another month for sure, or like, you know, I don't feel like I need to go back to normal life. Then it taught me a few things about myself and reconnecting with the passion of cycling. I had complete freedom on this trip to ride whatever distance, to go wherever I want, whenever I want, and just by eliminating everything, like, it just made me realize how much I love to ride my bike, and how like that's the core of my passion for cycling, is just to ride my bike. Bikepacking wise, I also learned a lot, and I could definitely see myself doing a bigger project in the future. I have a few ideas, but that's for later. I'm just so glad that I went past my fear. I committed to do it, even though there's been so many obstacles and things to learn, and I was like, wait, this is way too difficult to organize. And so it's been like 3 weeks preparation. Like, man, I'm just so glad I did it, because it's like, these memories gonna stay with me forever. You know, sometimes it's like sucks, like these tough moments, but you think of like how amazing it's gonna be to remember this for the rest of your life. So the backside of Mount Lemmon is definitely as hard as, harder.
everyone who followed my adventure, who cheered me up, and thank you to all of my angels who came along the way to help me. And thank you for watching.